very pleased to welcome Stef Schutte for our discussion today, and it's wonderful to be speaking to you again, Stef, and to talk about your role as the Global Head of Regulatory Affairs in Astellas and your reflections on the life science sector and the pace of adoption and change, in particular for artificial intelligence in recent years, and also your role as a director for Accumulus Synergy, which is so interesting and a fantastic organization, leading a lot of advancement in the life science sector. So it's a great pleasure to welcome Stef today for our discussion.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Anusha. Yeah, so Stef Schutte is then the formal Dutch pronunciation, and I'm indeed the Global Head of Regulatory Affairs in Astellas. I've more than 30 years of experience working in the pharmaceutical industry and have been with Astellas now for the last 8.5 years, I would say. So I lead the regulatory teams that support basically everything, product development. We work with regulatory agencies, drive compliance. We anticipate and interpret regulatory trends, and we really try to explore and expand our approved therapies for the benefit of patients globally.
I've had the honor of speaking to your global regulatory affairs team about generative AI and artificial intelligence over the last few months. And I just wondered, what reflections do you have after leading the Astellas global regulatory team over the last 8 years or so? Because we've seen so much change in the sector. It's been such an interesting time for the industry.
Yeah, that's really a very, very broad question. And I think indeed, I've certainly witnessed great change over the course of the last 8+ years, my leadership time at the Astellas regulatory team. So a couple of things to mention or to focus on. So one is, I would say globalization. So from a big picture perspective, with the innovation progressing at pace now, we are seeing an increased globalization, both in industry as well as in the regulatory solutions. And collaboration between agencies in different parts of the world is increasingly common and seen as necessary to keep pace with the scientific advances and new technologies that are happening. And then, I would say Asia and maybe China specifically has undergone rapid regulatory reform, which certainly could help speed the development and approval of innovative healthcare solutions in these markets. And I would say as a Japan-based company, we've always have a focus on Japan. For at least one of our global products, the first approval has been obtained in Japan recently, a couple of years ago, which I would say was unthought of 10 years ago. Maybe other developments, I would say you see that the regulatory frameworks are changing, and particularly that there's opportunities for acceleration. And there I see regulatory affairs is really taking an increasingly strategic role in identifying and exploring pathways and opportunities to bring novel treatments to patients as soon as possible. And agencies are creating new pathways like the breakthrough designation and the real-time oncology, the RTOR in the US, PRIME in Europe, and Sakigake in Japan, just to name a few. I would say these pathways really work as well and accelerate access for patients. Because if we look, for example, to a product in Astellas or a combination that we filed November last year, where FDA accepted for priority review a supplemental biological license application as BLA for enfortumab vedotin combined with pembrolizumab for the treatment of patients with bladder cancer, so locally advanced or metastatic urothelial cancer. And so this SBLA was submitted, as I said, as under priority review, but also under RTOR, the real-time oncology review. And that got approved within 5 weeks after submission. So really, I would say a very short timeline, not seen and not heard of before. And that is clearly very important, to get patients access to this treatment, patients that are really in need of treatment options. And I think, what else? I would say for innovative products and platforms, there's more opportunities that became available and are coming available for early agency interactions, like Interact in the US, the early scientific advices and pipeline meetings in Europe. Those early interactions really help to get the agency perspective in that very early phase of development. And that in itself helps indeed planning for development. I would say in efficient, but also in a secure way, so that you're really going in the right direction as a company. Maybe another aspect still. So the company that I'm working for, Astellas Grow, has seen growth over that 8+ years as well, I would say. And we have expanded our focus to oncology, and that's basically indeed growing the portfolio beyond the historic leadership of Astellas in urology and transplantation. And I would say the oncology pipeline now includes a diversity of treatment options, for a variety of I would say hard to treat cancers, and that is very exciting to work on those as well.
It's fantastic achievements, and I just wondered, Stef, do you think that the pandemic has really cemented those accelerated pathways and made them, really a changing paradigm for the sector, because the rolling review became a reality during the pandemic, and now we do see huge uptake and really addressing our medical need post-pandemic. So maybe there was some real lasting positive change that we see in regulatory evidence.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think so of course the pandemic has certainly, if you look at the vaccine development, has shown also unprecedented development timelines, but also approval timelines. And looking at that now, of course, during the pandemic and with the vaccine development, all the focus of the health authorities was on the vaccines, and that helped certainly accelerate. But there are many other aspects, like decentralized trials, which was prior to COVID, I would say, almost not heard of, and that is now continuing. So I think there's indeed a lot of things that we took from the pandemic, also in the regulatory approval area, particularly for the high unmet medical need diseases. So where there's basically no or only poor treatment available, where the agencies are open to accelerated plans, which they learned clearly a lot of during the pandemic as well.
Yeah, and I know that there's been a focus on, really looking at dynamic regulatory assessment and that becoming a reality in the near future. So I think some very positive signs and things coming out of global collaboration between regulators, and also tying into the work of Accumulus synergy as well. But some really exciting approvals for Astellas, and very important for patients as well. So it's a fantastic achievement.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I fully agree. And I think indeed, Yeah, so the the real-time assessments and indeed the the real-time oncology review are really examples indeed where there is a rolling submission possible now, and that make things quicker and make things much more efficient from that perspective. Yeah.
Share your reflections on the pace of adoption of artificial intelligence, the potential for Gen AI in regulatory affairs and the life science sector. We hear about it all the time, and we know that companies are really interested to develop important use cases and to, use that technology to develop products faster and impact patients.
Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree there. So yeah, clearly artificial intelligence, big data, advanced analytics, they're everywhere now, and I would say you cannot afford not to adopt them. But there are of course challenges because overall it's certainly a positive development with a lot of potential. There's also rapidly transforming data collection and interpretation that is pinpointing to new insights and enhancing and speeding up the development more effectively, and also facilitating precise treatment. So the more patient-focused treatment there. I would say in research and in development, we see a lot of developments there now. Particularly also, as I said, in analyzing the big data and creating that into data that we can use in our further developments. And also, AI is also being used, I would say, to automate and streamline certain processes in RA. I would say it's particularly in administrative work at the moment, in documentation, but also in data extraction, compliance issues. There's pilots ongoing in other companies as well in review of promotional materials, for example. It's all in its early stages at the moment, but it will clearly simplify and speed up the work, and will also allow us to focus on more strategic other priorities. And as I said, so the digital technologies, we see certainly that they are helping to make drug development more patient-centric. In order, I would say, by enabling developers to identify and target those most likely to derive meaningful benefits from certain treatments and certain innovations, and also avoiding burdening those who may not. So the precision medicines, I think that is really benefiting most from that. Looking at AI more generally, and I also reading a little bit about the expectations. I would say overall industry-wide, the uptake has been up till now a bit slower than expected. For me, I think the potential reasons include data quality and accuracy. If you don't have the data quality and accuracy, it's difficult to train on data and to being implemented into the AI programs. But also privacy and consent to store data and governance arrangements related to that are really important and requiring more time to set that up. But also the possibility of error and biases, which may cause harm. And I would say, so you've seen, at least up until now, is that human understanding, operability, and validation are still key in this area.
Yeah, I would agree. And we work with a number of organizations, looking at AI use cases, in the regulatory affairs and life science sectors. So it's very much a hot topic, but as you say, there's a lot of things to consider in terms of AI governance and, how do you ensure all of the different aspects are really evaluated. And I think very much still in a sandbox phase of trial and testing use cases is what we see from the life science sector, but huge potential there for the future. So something that everyone's really excited about, but of course, still very much human in the loop and human oversight and appropriate risk oversight is very important, as well as explainability. And what would you say is the next important steps for Astellas over the next couple of years in terms of AI governance? And are you incorporating? I think ethics is a really important area as well. And we see the WHO guiding principles for ethical use of AI, and many organizations providing analysis of AI and ethics. So it's some very interesting debate and discussion. I wondered what your thoughts are on ethical use cases and definitions.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I think indeed, yes, as I said, the AI can transform the drug discovery and the development. But it's really critical to ensure that it is implemented ethically and with a minimal risk for bias. And I would say the exact governance framework is difficult to set up. But if you think about elements that should be and need to be included in the governance framework, it's I would say the ethical standards that the AI program should meet. An area of data privacy, security, and consent. Transparency should be ensured about its purpose and the processes. Then, guidelines for accountabilities and liabilities is an important area to cover. But also strategy for avoiding discrimination and bias. That is an important aspect of that future framework or that governance framework as well. And then, as you alluded to, so there's more and more regulation coming up now. So be it from WHO, but also other, the European Commission. There's in the US, FDA, and other regulations coming up. So following those regulations is of course important, but also being compliant with the relevant data protection and artificial intelligence laws. And then a process for ongoing monitoring and assessment. And ultimately it needs to be implemented with the highest respect, I would say, for human rights, data quality, and integrity. That is, I would say, key for the governance framework. If I look at it also from the Astellas perspective.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's such an interesting time in the life science sector and globally for the adoption of AI across all areas, but it could have a huge positive impact. And it's going to be fascinating to see how the regulation emerges. And so we don't stifle innovation and the huge potential, but we have the appropriate safeguards. So very interesting. And I wondered, in your role as on the board of directors for Cumulus Synergy, I've seen the recent press release about fantastic achievements in reliance across several regulators collaborating with pharmaceutical companies, and examples of post-approval changes in record time, and huge potential with a Cumulus Synergy. Really fascinating organization. I think it's achieved a lot, and lots to look forward to in the future, and just wondered if you would share your thoughts on Accumulus and for the next couple of years. There's a huge potential there to streamline regulatory submissions.
Yeah, I think indeed it's really an exciting time with Accumulus. You're referring indeed to the press release in February. So for us for Accumulus, I think it's really important that those cross-border data exchange initiatives like Accumulus help facilitate a coordinated global assessment of therapies in multiple countries. And in addition there, I would say also, if you look at the data exchange platform, that will also allow for transition in the future from dossier submission to authorities to data submissions, which is probably equally important there. And a cloud-based regulatory platform could really transform how regulatory submissions are developed and then how they are transmitted and reviewed across the drug development lifecycle. And then, that could streamline the communication and information exchange between the companies and the health authorities globally. It's obvious that will reduce workload and can accelerate timelines in the process. And by doing so, in principle, we could move from, I would say, from a one-to-one interaction with the health authority and the company to a one-to-many interaction for everything, for the submissions and the Q&As afterwards. And that has then the potential clearly to significantly, again, reduce the workload at the agency and the industry side. And a potential to significantly shorten the approval times and so access to medicines. But of course, the key challenge is and was turning the theoretical promise into reality, if you like, to further the application of the technology in the regulatory processes and to successfully onboard the key stakeholders, such as the regulatory authorities. And of course, the goal of these efficiencies then should always be to improve the outcomes for the patients and unlock the potential for the therapeutic treatment, the therapeutic intervention. And by accelerating access, certainly in the way how Accumulus looks at this, it means that not only in developed countries but also beyond that, we will facilitate access to medicines and maybe indeed in that way further facilitate indeed the health equity, if you like. And then to your point on the exciting time, because we announced that Accumulus launched the initial version of its information and data exchange platform Synergy. And the first launch is very much focused on the Reliance pilot that follows the WHO principles for good reliance practices and is in fact is still limited in scope. But for me, the exciting part is that the platform is live now, of course, and that 48 regulatory authorities across 6 continents, as is mentioned, are using the platform, and in this pilot, they use it to submit questions and receive sponsor answers on post-approval changes. And this happens all in the central cloud-based location that is visible to all participants. And so increasing transparency and providing the opportunity to hopefully reduce the number of information exchanges and workload again. And that would also reduce the approval times. But of course, the biggest challenge was always getting a working system, having the right security and privacy in place, and getting, of course, the health authorities on board, and that was key as well. And I think with the recent development now, a big step has been taken to move basically from ID to reality. And yeah, hopefully and certainly further testing and development will now continue and prepare Accumulus for other use cases and broader implementation in the regulatory field as well.
Phenomenal achievement to have 48 regulatory authorities participating in Accumulus and the Synergy platform. It's really remarkable. And do you think it would ever be a potential one day to have the health technology agencies as perhaps one day?
Yeah, no, I think step by step.
Yeah.
I think this already is an achievement that we couldn't have thought of a year ago, I would say.
Yes, amazing.
I think the moment that the system gets further developed and further rolled out, other opportunities will certainly be investigated. But it's also, I think, important, and that's the good thing of Accumulus as well, is to keep focus and to ensure that there is a system that is working and is available eventually. And of course, you can go as broad as you want, but let's first focus indeed on first things first, and move on thereafter, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing and huge impact for health equity and transparency of review as well of the questions and answers, but the real reduction in timeline for post-approval changes. And so I can really see that it will have a huge impact on making important changes to impact patient safety. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think indeed, particularly in those post-approval reliance procedures, there's specifically for the CMC changes, there's usually a huge range indeed for getting approval for those changes, ranging from I would say a month in certain areas to 3-5 years in other areas. And if we can bring that closer, that is a huge gain for efficiency in the manufacturing area, and it's also a huge gain for everybody working on those changes, be it at the industry level or at the agency levels.
Yeah. And do you also think that it will have? I can imagine it will have a very positive impact on to support increasing maturity and for smaller regulators that perhaps don't have as much expertise or the resources, that would really be helpful for them to participate in Accumulus and the Synergy platform.
Yeah, and I think also there's of course a lot of credit to give to WHO that worked on that reliance pathway over a long time, it's now taking off, and I think indeed Accumulus is certainly helping to create transparency, to create the infrastructure to make this easier and possible for companies and agencies to participate in. So I think certainly that has certainly a positive impact on those countries as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Stef. And so much is changing. There's so much, positive advances in the sector. Just wondered, as a closing thoughts from you, if you had to choose one thing, I know it's difficult, but what do you think will have the biggest impact on patient care in the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's always difficult to to select one. Maybe I try to. No, so I think there's many exciting innovations, and that will have a significant impact on patient care. In the near future, I would say, if we talk about 5 years. new modalities such as cell and gene therapies, but also I would say the thing that we mentioned already, the artificial intelligence across a number of areas will certainly have a big impact. And I would say indeed the AI. Whether that will be in 3 to 5 years, it's difficult to predict how revolutionary it can be in the next 3 to 5 years. But I would say that indeed we will be seeing significant advances in the integrated solutions with companion diagnostics and more personalized treatments, probably helped by AI there as well. That particularly in that personalized treatment area, I see also a lot of opportunity in acceleration of clinical data collection. As a better patient selection can be achieved, and that way clinical trials can be more efficient. But indeed, the novel modalities are probably the ones that have the chance to revolutionize our area the most. So cell and gene therapy are certainly driving industry-wide growth at the moment. There's also an increase in therapies seeking regulatory approval, cell and gene therapies. And at Astellas, across our early stage pipeline, we have I would say different technology platforms with the potential to create paradigm shifts in healthcare. Also small molecules like the targeted protein degraders, or biologics like the bispecific immune cell engagers. But gene therapy is clearly also a focus. And with the gene therapy, we have the potential to deliver truly life-changing therapies for patients that may redefine the expectations of value of medical innovation for patients, but also the healthcare professionals and potentially even the healthcare systems, I would say. We have an opportunity to truly care diseases that have currently no or poor treatment. For us, we in our gene therapy portfolio pipeline, we have currently AT845, which is a gene replacement therapy with a potential true cure for Pompe disease, which is a severe progressive neuromuscular condition. But I think also with those new therapies, it remains all challenging. It's certainly not an easy road to follow, as we are often targeting rare diseases or very rare diseases, so orphan diseases in general, and it's in uncharted territory. So we see setbacks, probably even more than that we see with the usual setbacks in drug research and development. That example we have seen with AT132, which is a gene replacement therapy being investigated currently for X-linked myotubular myopathy. It's a very rare and fatal disease caused by a lack of a protein in the skeletal muscle. And you see that usually in young boys. That product is currently on clinical hold because we have seen there some setbacks that were quite severe, some death in the programs. But at the same time, we have seen great improvements in that program as well. So it's always there, the balance to see what can be done. And I think looking at all of this, the role of RA in this will continue to grow because new innovations and major changes, also driven by the AI and digital advances, we are, as RA, a key player in how these changes and approaches are communicated to and approved by the authorities. And as regulatory affairs, we are certainly committed to that. As Astellas is also committed to working together with the agencies, with everybody to find the most appropriate pathways to so that the patients can benefit really from those treatments as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Stef. It's amazing potential curative treatments and transformative treatments for patients, and fantastic the work that Astellas is doing, especially in the rare disease space and gene therapy, really pushing the boundaries. And we look forward to the future, and I think there's a lot to look forward to. And the role of the regulatory professional, as you say, is fascinating and is being transformed with all of the changes in the sector. But really evaluating the risk benefit of these transformative emerging treatments and technologies. It's such a fascinating time, isn't it, to be in the sector, and considering the new and changing regulation, but amazing the potential new products and treatments that Astellas has in the pipeline. So it's been such a pleasure to spend time talking with you today. Thank you so much for your reflections on your time as Global Head of Regulatory Affairs in Astellas, and also sharing your thoughts on the fantastic work of Acuminus Synergy. And we really watch the progress of Acuminus very carefully. It's, amazing achievements already with the global collaboration. So thank you so much, Stef. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Likewise here. Thanks, Anusha, for having me.